Hey, what's up, guys? Want to make a few videos real quick. First, I'm gonna talk about ESTJs. Lately, I've been trying to understand ESTJs. Been observing them, learning about them, reflecting on like ESTJs I've known and how they are, stuff like that. I want to talk about ESTJs because a lot of people don't understand ESTJs actually. Like I don't think they care about ESTJs. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't even say that. I'm just saying like a lot of people don't understand them fully. They just kind of like know uh, more. They just know certain little things about them. They're right, but it's like some stuff they don't know about them. That's also true. Very true about them. Mostly because it's not a lot of ESTJs online and stuff like that talking about their type. Cause like it's like with ESTJs, they don't have much. Usually, don't have a lot of interest in uh, typology in general. Like they'll learn their type and then they'll be like, okay, well, I guess that's accurate. Then they just move on or something, or they just don't see it as practical as much. Something practical, at least from what I've seen. A lot of them don't. I haven't seen a lot on YouTube. I've seen maybe a few, but not really. Haven't seen a lot in, whatever. But they don't care about they just don't care about. But I'm gonna talk about a few things based on so far what I've seen that are true about ESTJs. Like maybe a few, I guess these sort of misconceptions, sort of not really, but a few of them. One thing about ESTJs people don't realize that is very true. They're very similar to ESTPs on the outside. They don't think anything. They think very differently. Kind of like how ISTPs look similar to ISTJs. Same thing basically, but it's even. I think it's even more true for EST. Well, I wouldn't even say that same thing. Really, ESTJs basically their mindset is almost the same as ESTPs, except it's like translated. It's like a translated version of ESTP. It's like you're translating ESTP to ESTJ. Um, that's like I'm using that word because that kind of describes it a little better. It's like it's like a translated version. Like you're translating it basically just translating ESTP to judging. For example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Um, when you like ESTJs, it's like they do everything. Almost everything they do is like okay. That's my example I was going to use. Sorry, I almost forgot. All right, my example I was going to use was ESTPs. Most ESTPs they like being active. They get bored easily. They like stuff going on in the environment because they're lead SE users. They get bored easily. Like they don't like sitting. Well, some of them don't like sitting still. Stuff like that. They like doing stuff. They want to do stuff usually. ESTJs are the same way, but when you translate that to ESTJ, ESTJs want to do stuff all the time, but to translate to ESTJ as they always want to work. Uh, like a lot of ESTJs, like it's very common for ESTJ to be workaholics and stuff like that. They're always working. Say they got a job, they're always at the job, something like that. They work hard, work well. They usually move up in management pretty well. They know how to impress the boss, stuff like that. Um, yeah, very, very, very work conscious. That's how it translates. A lot of stuff, a lot of traits of ESTPs translate to ESTJ like that. Like for instance, some ESTJs, like when you say, like the stereotypical pathological liar, ESTP. There's also ESTJs that can fit that stereotype of being liars. Telling a lot of, but they tell mostly like a lot of white lies, a lot of stuff. They lie about maybe a lot of stuff nobody cares about. Doesn't matter if you know. Anyway, sometimes they can do that. Like maybe they can be caught up in trying to impress people a little bit. Not really though, not too much. They mostly into oppression like authority. No, they might. I don't know. Somebody they see is important. They don't try to impress people in general. They don't cry when people in general think of it. It depends on who it is, but they can fall in that a little bit. I'm not trying to bash them or nothing. I'm just saying it's just some. I'm not saying all these did like this. You don't really have to question the ESTJ if they're lying to you or not. Really, you can tell when they're telling the truth. Usually they're pretty honest. I'm just saying, like, but that's how I can manifest. I'm just saying that's how some ESTP stereotype can manifest. But anyways, okay. So one thing most people don't realize about ESTJs, though, well, not one thing. Another thing is ESTJs can look like introverts. Um, why is that? Because they're not people oriented. People, even though they're extroverts, they can very well be not so much people oriented. Um, so some people can mistake them as introverts because like they'll do things on their own sometimes. Uh, they're extrovert. They would rather. I think they would prefer to do things with people, but or with a friend. Like they'll ask you to come with them to do something, but they'll be all right doing it on alone too. Like I know ESTJ man. He sometimes I see him at the gym by himself, stuff like that, and he's okay with it. But he probably would rather be there with a person, with somebody with him, have a workout partner. I usually go to the gym by myself. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. Like it actually sometimes it's better because I can get stuff done on my going at a good my pace or whatever. It's good to have a partner too. But sometimes it's like I don't even think about it. It's like I don't care. But yeah, ESTJs they could be not they're not people oriented. They could be they're more task oriented people. So they can look like introverts. People can mistake them as introverts. Like I heard people mistype ECJs as ISTJs a lot because they're not people oriented. They'll think they're ISTJs, even though they have dominant TE. They'll still be mistaken as ISTJs and stuff like that. For that reason, they're just not concerned about people. That's all it is. It's not that they're not extroverts. They're just not concerned about people like that. They gain energy from being around people like extroverts. They like bouncing their ideas off people. This also can be true for ENTJs too. They can be not people oriented. They can mistake as introverts too. But anyway, also with that low feeling, they can also develop a little bit of a shyness sometimes. Some cases they can develop a shyness. Low feeling can manifest in shyness a lot. Having a low feeling function. Mainly because it's not comfortable with their emotions. It might take them a while to be comfortable with them. Kind of like with ISTPs, it can manifest as shyness a little bit, stuff like that. Yeah, that's one more misconception, sort of. Most people don't know about, most don't pay attention to about ESTJs. They be so work conscious or whatever. That's not worth thinking about people maybe, or they just be so tasked or whatever. Another thing. Okay, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, they have a very strong sense of pride. Probably had a stronger sense of pride out of all types, all 16 types. I think ESTJ had like the strongest sense of pride, mainly because of SE. And then they got that. I mean, not SE, SI, introverted sensing. Like the things they were brought up on and stuff like that, family tradition. They'll have a lot of pride, or like not even family traditions. I'm talking about like they'll have like high standards for themselves, stuff like that. They develop high standards for themselves from SI. So they'll have a very strong sense of pride. This is another thing that's translated from ESTP to ESTJ. ESTPs stereotypically, well, I wouldn't even say stereotypically, it's a flaw of lead SE. They can make bad decisions in the moment. They can be a little impulsive, get themselves in trouble a little bit. ESTJs can sort of do this too. They don't actually get themselves in trouble though. They're kind of reckless a little bit. Like their sense of pride can take over sometimes. They don't actually get in trouble that much though, with it though. But their sense of pride can take over a little bit, and they'll get themselves in like a situation, because of that pride. They'll set themselves up for like failure. Like I don't know. Trying to think of a good example to articulate so you guys get what I'm saying. Like for example, say like a ESTJ challenges somebody who they have no business challenging or something like that, just because they want to be the best at something or something like that, and like the person they challenge, and there's like no way like they had no business challenging them. Stuff like that sometimes can happen with ESTJ, especially, But yeah, they have probably the strongest sense of pride out of all types because they got that SI. They end up developing high standards from SI, stuff like that. Things they've seen, sensory data that they have stored, it manifests as high standards sometimes. And then they got that lead TE, it makes them really want to execute it. So they have that sense of pride, and sometimes it can get them in a little trouble. They never really get into much trouble though. They're not dumb people. They make a lot of good decisions. They're good, very very responsible. But it's just something that happens every once in a while. So most people don't know this. But yeah. And another thing, this is the last thing I got to say about ESTJs. The last thing I got to say, they're like the realist. They're pretty real. Like ESTPs get a lot of credit for being like the realist types and stuff like that. But actually, in my opinion, I say ESTJs are the realist types. I think actually ESTJs are the realist types. Why? Because, well, first of all, I don't think they get credit for it. It's because a lot of people don't like SJs for some reason. They just have puts a bad taste in their mouth. As far as when you compare them to 16 other types, a lot of SJs don't have a good reputation. Mostly, I know ICJs, ESTJs don't have, ICJs don't have a good reputation. And then ESTJs have a decent reputation. It's like nobody really likes to talk about ESTJs, in-depth ESTJs. But yeah, they're like real. They don't get credit for being real, realist. We talk about the types that are like the most realist, that are the realist. The actual word realist, REALISS. STS. Realists. I say ESTJs over ESTPs because like ESTPs, they're not 100% honest. Some ESTPs are honest, but stereotypically they lie. But some ESTPs, like they not focused on themselves. They might not focus on themselves as much as the ESTJ. ESTJs will they'll make sure they have their stuff together before they keep it real with you. Stuff like that. ESTPs on the other hand, they might they do this too, but it's like it can vary. Some ESTPs are real, some of the realest people you'll ever meet. Others aren't. It can go either way with ESTPs. It's not a stereotype that it does, but it can go either way. Some of them, not all of them are. Some of them are all talk. Some of them talk a lot, but they back it up. Some of them, that's basically like ESTPs. ESTJs, some ESTJs talk trash. Some ESTJs talk trash, just like ESTPs. They brag and stuff like that. Have a little ego. It's mostly pride, or not really much of an ego. Mostly just pride, a lot of pride. But yeah, they make sure they have their stuff together, and then it manifests as them just being real people. They're like, I've met ESTJs that are like the realest people I've ever met. Let's put it like that. They're honest with you. They'll tell you exactly how they feel about you when it comes down to it. They might keep it to themselves if not necessary. But they can tell if they want to, they'll tell you exactly how they feel about you. Which is just one thing I like about it. I like them because they keep it real with you, and they tell you exactly what they. If you want their honest opinion, they can give you their honest opinion and stuff like that. And they're real. So yeah, very straightforward with communication, stuff like that. See you guys later. Like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate all the likes I get, stuff like that. Any like I get, I appreciate it. Thank you.